Hello again. That time I got music. My partners at my table said that I like that music so much that every time I walk into the office now, they're going to play a song. We are now at the high point of the evening, the presentation of the Business Leader of the Year award. And I'd like to invite Mark Wegman to introduce Brian Rogers. Mark is a double Loyola alumnus, a member of the Selinger Board of Sponsors, 30-year T. Rowe Price veteran, and a T. Rowe Vice President and Portfolio Manager. Mark.
Good evening. Thank you for the warm welcome and for your support of Loyola, the Selinger School, T. Rowe Price, and of course our Chairman and Chief Investment Officer, Brian Rogers. I would also like to ask the previous Business Leaders of the Year who are with us tonight to join us on stage. George Collins, T. Rowe Price, 1996. Gino Geminani, Whiting Turner, 2003. George Roach, T. Rowe Price, 2005. Jerry Holthouse, Algico Scotsman, 2008. Eddie Brown, Brown Capital Management, 2010. And Rand Griffin, Corporate Office Properties Trust, 2011. Since 1983, the Selinger School has recognized those in the business community whose outstanding leadership has set them apart. Professional excellence, personal integrity, and responsibility to the community, all are integral to this selection, and all are essential qualities of a man I'm proud to call my friend and colleague, Brian Rogers. A Massachusetts native, Brian earned his undergraduate and graduate degrees from Harvard, joined T. Rowe Price in 1982, and has risen to the offices of Chairman and Chief Investment Officer. Throughout his career, Brian has never wavered in his commitment to the success of our clients and our shareholders. Brian's outstanding investment results inspire his associates across T. Rowe Price. Through his actions, he also inspires similar excellence in community service. We have an extraordinary rate of employee participation in giving and volunteering programs. Brian's example, and that of his predecessors, has had a great deal to do with that. Outside of the office, you'll find Brian working with the Greater Baltimore Committee, Johns Hopkins, the Archdiocese of Baltimore, and Vanderbilt University. But Brian won't tell you about any of this. Despite his success and the responsibilities of his position, the Brian I know is a very humble guy with a rich sense of humor. He is the guy who stopped by my office after each of my children were born to shake my hand, congratulate me, and remind me after my fifth child that enough was enough. Brian is also the guy who, when the financial markets were melting down in March 2009, amidst all of his other responsibilities and concerns, made the time to sit down with me when I needed some guidance and reassurance. You see, Brian is the consummate professional, with all the achievements and successes that go with that, but he is also a wonderful person. A resolution issued by the Selinger School's Board of Sponsors salutes Brian for embodying discipline, integrity, and concern for his company's impact on all those with whom it engages, as well as for the stability and prosperity Mr. Rogers and T. Rowe Price have offered their clients, investors, and associates in a time of extraordinary turbulence, not only for the investment industry, but for the nation as a whole. It also honors him for sharing with Loyola University, Maryland, a profound commitment to the communities of which it is a part. I am also pleased to present a citation of congratulations from Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley and Baltimore Mayor Stephanie Rawlings Blake. It is a great honor to present Brian with this resolution recognizing him as the Sellinger School of Business and Management's 2012 Business Leader of the Year.
It's now my pleasure to ask Brian Rogers to offer his remarks. Brian.
Good evening, everybody. Mark, that was such a kind introduction. Some of it was true. I'm not sure all of it was true. I think back to the warm and comfortable days, T. Rowe Price, the fall of 2008, the spring of 2009, what we refer to now as the good old days. So, Mark, thank you for that kind introduction. Also, thank you to Father Linane, Dean Leggio, Barry. There were also a couple of trustees. I won't name them here, but there was basically a very anti-democratic ballot box stuffing attempt to get me up here today, and they know who they are. I will not name them, but again, I thank them. I'm also sitting up front here are members of the T. Rowe Price Management Committee. And if you believe in the old maxim, it takes a village, it certainly takes a bunch of us to run the place. And I'd like you all to acknowledge my colleagues Jim Kennedy, Ed Bernard, Bill Stromberg, John Linehan, Mike Getlin, and our colleague Chris Alderson is in London. In addition, many of our associates are here this evening, including a number of our 250 Loyola alums. Almost 5% of our workforce, Loyola alums. I'd also like to thank Kim Cicchini, who has put up with me, my assistant, for almost 14 years, which is a test of her sanity and her patience. And then last and certainly not least, my family's here, my wife, Mary Jo, my daughters, Hillary, and my son, Peter. I do this chronologically so as not to get into trouble. My youngest daughter, Sydney, I'd like to thank them. I love you guys, and thanks for making the long trip to get here tonight. So this is truly a great honor, and I'm just going to take a couple of minutes, and it's a particularly humbling award when you look in your program at some of the prior recipients. And I was flipping through the brochure. It's an amazing group, and I'm proud to be part of this. And I'm proud to accept this award on behalf of all of us at T. Rowe Price. Now, I have a 60-minute presentation on the global investment outlook. That was in one pocket. In the other pocket, I pulled out a briefer set of comments. And so I'd like to spend just a few minutes talking about and I thought this would be very appropriate for Loyola, the ecosystem of education, success, and responsibility. So first, education. Education is a critical requirement for success at T. Rowe Price. We have to attract the best people. We are in a globally competitive, cutthroat business. We spend an incredible amount of time trying to identify, hire, and retain the best investment and business professionals. Our business is highly unpredictable, and we have to have great people to help us run our company. And that is one of the key success factors, I think, of T. Rowe Price, is the ability to attract and retain the best people in the business. Our success is not preordained. So we have to have great people increase the odds of our success, and we've been fortunate over the years to have hundreds and thousands of those people, in fact. Now, a good education helped everybody in this room get started. I was thinking back, as Mark was talking, to the days of 1982 when I graduated from business school. Mary Jo and I jumped in her 1974 Volvo station wagon and began the long drive to Baltimore. I think that was the dowry. It was a 1974 Volvo station wagon that cost as much to keep on the road as our apartment did. But in any event, so we drove down here, started at T. Rowe Price. We were a very small company in 1982. We had 300 people across the street managing maybe 10, 11, 12 billion dollars. Today, those amounts have grown to approximately $575 billion, and we have 5,200 colleagues working in 12 countries around the world. I think Barry used the asset amount of $540 billion. I believe we were at 575 before the election. And now we are lower after the election, and it's kind of a moving target, but nonetheless. You know, people always say, well, why did things work out for you at T. Rowe Price? And I always say, well, of course, in 1982, when I joined the company, I had total perfect insight that I was joining the firm 6 weeks in advance of the start of the greatest bull market in recent history. But actually, in so many respects, I was lucky. I'm a big believer and admirer of Malcolm Gladwell. And in his book, Outliers, he talks about how success is often driven as much by luck and chance as by hard work and skill. And when I think of how lucky it was to join T. Rowe Price in the summer of 1982, before that big bull market began, it was tremendously good timing, and it was all luck. And it was primarily because I was born in 1955 and not due to any great insight on my part. The other thing that's helped so many of us and all the folks at a couple of the T. Rowe Price tables is we've been very successful over time by taking chances and by being willing to bet on good, capable young people. And I was the beneficiary of that trend in the 1980s, and we have many other people benefiting from that practice today. And we're really in the business of betting on great young people and seeing that they can grow the business and generate great investment returns for our clients. Now, as I think about the past 30 years, I'm reminded of one thing President Obama said. And for those of you who know me, I don't quote President Obama all that often. But he said something along the lines at some point during the campaign, if you've got a business, you didn't build that. And I think back to one of our former directors, now deceased, who once said, the glory belongs to your ancestors. No one person, not even T. Rowe Price, can claim sole credit for building our company. There have been many people along the way, including the folks I introduced earlier. And certainly, when I think of two prior honorees who were just up here, George Collins and George Roach, if the glory belongs to any of our ancestors, certainly a great deal of it belongs to those two. So I'd like to thank you guys again, George and George. Now, so I've talked a bit about education. Let me talk a little bit about what success means as a corporation. Carol made a comment earlier, something about income statements, and I'd like to say, first of all, I am the biggest admirer of a great income statement. And Peter Drucker once said in one of his early books that the sole purpose of a corporation is to create and serve a customer. So those of you students here, so many great students tonight, I had a chance to chat with. When you think back to marketing, and it's all about customer focus, anticipating customer needs, and delivering a product to meet a customer need. And really, when I think of our success, we have this intense fixation on clients that has paid such big dividends over the year. Mr. Price himself said, it's been quoted so many times, if you take care of your clients will take care of you. And we believe that a team of great investors focused on helping clients is bound to be successful over the long term, and I think that's another one of our key success factors. Now, we've been successful in terms of various growth and profitability and return measures over the years, and and our clients have been very happy with us generally. One of my favorite measures of corporate success, however, is when I look around our organization, both past and present, and I see all of the great careers that have been created at T. Rowe Price. And great careers pay not only big dividends for us, they also pay great dividends for the community. And so I think we've been very successful not only in a financial sense, but also in a developing people and creation of great career standpoint. Now, finally, success at both the corporate and individual levels creates a responsibility to serve and help others. And both Carol and Barry made some reference to that earlier. And we have a very strong corporate commitment to philanthropy, service, and public engagement. And it's not only the right thing to do, we find it's also very good for our business. And as JFK once said, to whom much is given, much is expected. Now, the last couple of years have been a tough time for business, and we've taken a fair amount of raps in the press, during the presidential campaign. Think back to the last decade. We started with 9/11 and a recession and a market downturn, and then we recovered, then we had a housing bubble, then we had the greatest financial crisis since the Great Depression. And we've seen more than a few ethical scandals along the way. And I know Carol, from time to time, she and I have had conversations, and she talks a lot about the importance of business ethics in a business program. And so there is some good news. It's been a tough decade for companies, but we are more highly favored in public opinion surveys than one group in America. We are more highly rated than Congress. And we have an important role to play. I think this is a time of great public debate, and one of the ways we can help society is by speaking up, engaging, and participating in the debate over some of the important issues facing our country today. Now, looking at some of our community involvement, both in terms of our corporate giving and the generosity of our associates, they're dramatic, they're deep, there's a lot of money involved. Not surprisingly, education is a focus area for our company. We benefit from education, and we try to be supportive of it. But our support is very broad and helps many parts of the community. Last weekend, a bunch of us were out for the dedication of our 11th Habitat for Humanity house in West Baltimore. 100 of our employees turned this broken down, dilapidated structure into a beautiful house, a much nicer house than I had when I was a young person getting out of school. And I looked out at the group, and I looked across the street, and not surprisingly, there were all these people working on a house across the street wearing Loyola sweatshirts. And I thought, isn't that fitting? T. Rowe Price in one house and Loyola in another house. And I was talking at the reception tonight to one Kyle Jones, class of 2013. Kyle, wherever you are. Kyle, where are you? And Kyle had a big Habitat for Humanity button on his lapel. And he said, Mr. Rogers, I saw you and a bunch of T. Rowe Price people across the street last Saturday. So what better example of organizations working together than T. Rowe Price and Loyola on the same street, North Gilmore Street in West Baltimore, helping out. And in fact, when you look across the community, you will almost always find someone from T. Rowe Price involved in any organization in town, including a number of the folks I introduced earlier. So to wrap up, let me once again stress this importance of the relationship between education, success, and responsibility. I suspect everyone here believes in this, and I know that Loyola lives it, and as a good Jesuit would say, ad maiorem Dei gloriam. Latin people, for the greater glory of God. So that's it, folks. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you for this great recognition of what all of us at T. Rowe Price stand for. Thank you.
Brian, thank you very much for honoring Selinger by accepting the award. It really is a pleasure to to see you tonight and to have everyone here tonight. Thank you very much, Brian. I'd now like to introduce another leader who inspires others to adhere to the highest ethical principles and to give back to the community. Loyola's president, Father Brian Lenane of the Society of Jesus.
Thanks, Barry, and thank you, Brian. I didn't realize that we share three things as leaders: the name Brian, born in Massachusetts, and born in 1955. I think it was a pretty good year. I just want to thank you for your kind and inspiring words tonight and for your extensive and distinguished contributions to our shared community. On behalf of the entire Loyola Maryland University community, please accept my congratulations on this richly deserved honor. For a city with such a deep, rich history, Baltimore has relatively few institutions, organizations that continue to influence the city and its people many decades after they first grew into prominence. Loyola, which celebrates its 160th anniversary this year, and T. Rowe Price, which is marking 75 years, are two of the most enduring institutions. I cannot help but believe that our mutual adherence to the principles that have shaped us for so long, combined with our eager willingness to adapt to the rapidly changing, increasingly complex world that surrounds us, has played an important role in our ability to survive and indeed thrive over so many years. T. Rowe Price prides itself on operating with honesty, responsibility, and an abiding concern for all those affected by its leadership decisions, including its clients, shareholders, associates, and the members of the local, national, and global communities of which it is a part. This is a philosophy that aligns perfectly with Loyola University Maryland's mission and approach to education. It is probably no surprise to you that Loyola places so much emphasis on character and community engagement. For us, it's a key part of the Jesuit approach to education that has shaped Loyola since its inception, and our founding order for almost 500 years. It might be more difficult to understand why T. Rowe Price, a company that operates in a field where success is all too often dictated by the bottom line, does, until one considers the events of the past few years. It has become abundantly clear that businesses that lose sight of their conscience lose more than just their principles, devastating as that is. They lose, period. Thus, Brian Rogers and his colleagues at T. Rowe Price are the kinds of people we want our students to emulate. These are the men and women we want to mentor them, to offer them guidance as they consider their careers and embark on the professional journeys we know can bring them such extraordinary personal fulfillment. Fortunately for us and for our students, T. Rowe Price has welcomed this opportunity. Today, more than 250 Loyola graduates work for T. Rowe Price, helping to ensure that the principles that have long distinguished both institutions live on to guide another generation of professionals. While T. Rowe Price stands as one of Baltimore's and the nation's most exceptional companies, we know they are not alone in their adherence to these ideals. So many of you here tonight represent organizations, large and small, startup and established, in industries from insurance to technology to media, that stand for the very best the business world has to offer. You've already demonstrated your support for Loyola, our mission, and our students by being here tonight. And I hope when you leave this evening, you'll be willing to show your support in other ways as well. Host a networking event at your company. volunteer to serve on one of our boards, mentor a student, make a gift, my main work, speak to a class, hire a Loyola graduate, hire a lot of Loyola graduates. You won't regret it. And when you encounter a friend or colleague ready to pursue their MBA, searching for colleges for their daughter or son, or looking for a new exceptional employee, please tell them about Loyola, about your experiences with us and with students like Alexa Caraviccioli and Dr. Brian Adkins. I am now in my 8th year as president of Loyola University, Maryland. I'm not quite a Baltimore institution yet, but I'm getting there. And I must admit that I am constantly astounded by the accomplishments of our students, constantly astounded by the accomplishments of our faculty and staff that they are realizing each and every day on all of our campuses. We've attracted a record number of applications for 5 years running, launched new undergraduate and graduate programs, opened a world-class intercollegiate athletic complex, expanded and enhanced our science facility, racked up 5 Fulbright fellowships in 4 years, earned substantial corporate, foundation, and government grants in an astounding range of disciplines, and, of course, claimed a national championship in men's lacrosse. I was going to have my NCAA championship ring tonight, but it's a little gaudy with the clerical black. We've achieved all of this during a time of significant and economic instability and rapidly mounting competition. And I'm confident we can keep doing it with your help as we have all along. Thank you for all you have done and continue to do for Loyola University, Maryland, and for the Selinger School. And thank you for being here with us tonight as we honor Brian Rogers. I wish all of you a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I look forward to seeing you again next year here at the Business Leader of the Year dinner. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Father Lenane. Congratulations, Brian. Earlier, I thanked Walter Doggett, the Vice President of Taxes of E-Trade, who is the person most responsible for this evening, but Walter wasn't here at that time. Walter has now arrived, so Walter, thank you again. Everyone should mark their calendars for January 23rd. Brian will be a featured speaker in our Business Leader Speaker Series. I started the evening with a quote from John D. Rockefeller. I'd like to end with a quote from Mark Twain. Twain said, "Always do right. This will gratify some people and astonish the rest." Please join us for dessert in the atrium. Thank you for attending. Good night. Drive safely.